Where has the time gone, guys? We have been here, we've been on SoRare now for 12 months. This is the video you've probably all been waiting for. This is the ultimate how-to SoRare video. I feel pretty well placed after being here a year. Wait till you see the spreadsheet and how much money the club has earned over the last 12 months. It's crazy. To make this kind of complete video where I can look back at the last year, share all the kind of experiences, hints and tips, stuff I've not spoke about before on camera. Stuff like if I was to redo my time again, how would I do it differently? If I was starting brand new today, what would I do? What things would I put in place from minute one? Guys, for me this is a massive celebration video. I had a lot of fun making this. I hope you enjoy it as well, and hopefully for you out there it will provide you with some sort of insight or inspiration of where you can take the club on. Throughout the video as well, I'll let you know where all the free stuff I'm giving away is, as we kind of touch on it throughout the video. I hope you have a lot of fun watching this, guys. Do not forget, like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and let's get stuck into it. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, guys, first of all, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, every single person in the community that watches my videos, that likes them, that interacts with me on social media, wherever it is you find me. Without you guys, making the videos just wouldn't happen, you know, quite simply. I'm one of these people, I feed off of interaction. I love talking football with people. It doesn't matter where you're from, what team you support, unless it's Rangers. So honestly, guys, for all the banter, all the well wishes, all the thanks that I get from DMs and stuff like that, honestly, it means the world to me, guys. Without you guys, there is no content. So thank you very much. If you're wondering how you can support the channel, there's two key ways, okay? The first one, if you're already here, is you can just hit that join button and you can join the member section of the YouTube channel. What we do there is we do 2 streams a month. The memberships are 99p a month or £1.99 a month, absolute pennies. And we do member only streams where we go through using professional scouting software, the prospective cards you're maybe looking to buy on SoRare. Maybe you've never seen these guys play before, or maybe you're looking to get some extra stats or some extra knowledge before you go and make those purchases. That happens on the end product streams, which is in the member section on the channel. If you're brand new to SoRare and you haven't even opened an account yet, the best thing you can do to support myself and the channel is hit on that link in the description down below. Just let SoRare know that I sent you, and you'll get a free rare once you buy 5 from the market itself. And it no word of a lie, it all goes into the growth of the channel as well, guys. We're doing a 1-year birthday anniversary. I'm giving away 5 rares myself. There's competition details, I'll come to them as we get in the video, and that comes as a direct result of you guys supporting the channel and getting stuck in on the videos. I hope you enjoy this, guys, but as I say, none of this is possible without you at home, so thank you very much for all your support. It means the world to me. Now, this is probably the part of the video most of you guys are excited about, so we'll go through this. And I think last time when I did this video, I'm kind of went through the spreadsheet a little bit quickly. Now, if you have got access to the spreadsheet already, fantastic. If you don't, there will be a little bubble that will come above my head in that corner about now, okay? So you can go click on that, and all the details to get this free spreadsheet are available. Click on that bubble, find out what it is you need to do, come back here and pick up where we left off, okay? Now, what this spreadsheet tracks, guys, first and foremost, number 1 is your deposits and your withdrawals, okay? Now, I gather all of that data directly from my bank statements, okay? So I'm not messing about with gas fees and, you know, moving ETH and all this jibber jabber and all the rest of it, because it's just too messy and far too complicated. For me, it's all about what leaves my bank and then what comes back to my bank, okay? With the players, I don't actually, and I think this is actually a great little kind of lesson to maybe carry out for you guys as well, okay? But I don't track the trades, okay? So what I mean by that is, like, on other platforms and on Football Index days or whatever, what I would do is I would like follow the money. So I would think I've got like £500. I've got a video called Case File Ericsson, and you can see exactly what I mean by that. But I would trade in and out of people, and I would really follow the money and try and work out, well, that money's profitable and that money's actually at a loss and that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, that breeds a lot of bad practices. It kind of enhances desperation on a deal in some cases, and it will kind of hinder you in terms of releasing something at a certain price range because of that kind of baggage that you're carrying. So the spreadsheet itself does not equate into, oh, that ETH came from that, or that ETH came from this, or whatever. All it does is it aggregates the actual Ethereum cost of my current gallery and rotors that together versus my net deposits and withdrawals, all that kind of thing, okay? Because they're the only metrics that really mean anything. Now, column G which you can see over here is the average price of the cards in question. Okay, now this is the part that takes me the longest to update for the videos, because the secondary market valuation on a lot of cards fluctuates quite a lot depending on a lot of different factors, whether it be internal on the platform or external in the football world. So that's why I do the videos every 3 months, because I cannot be bothered doing this every week or every day or whatever. It would drive you absolutely potty. I don't mind taking a wee 40 minutes, an hour, a couple of days before the video and just updating it all there, and it helps me kind of keep in track. That being said as well, me not having that always at the tip of my fingertips, the current valuation of the gallery and of certain players, helps me, in my opinion, and everyone's different, okay, this might be a bad thing for you, but it's a good thing for me, helps me keep sober to exactly what the gallery and the club is doing, how profitable it is or isn't, and the price fluctuations on individual players that I'm in for the long run on, if that makes sense. So the valuations I've put in there are a mixture. They're primarily SoRare data, average prices, less a little bit, because I always try and make these valuations worst case scenario. So the one that jumps out at me is like Memphis Depay. I had him at 0.9, and I think when I checked it, like the cheapest in the market was like 1.2. In the last couple of auctions it went at like 1 and 1.1 or something like that. So I'd all with ones I have current accurate data for, in terms of the auction and secondary market transactions, I'll look at them and I'll try and give it a little bit of a haircut, because I think, right, well, if I wanted to sell that tonight, what price would I have to put it out at? And then that's the kind of thing that I'm drawn to. Now, conversely to that, there's some valuations in here that I have pretty much made up myself, and that's because I hold some cards that are quite unique. They have different things going for them. It might be like a 1 of 100, or different, a jersey number. Different things mean different things to me. Some of my key guys that have collector value to them to some extent have a little star next to them, and those valuations, I will take all the SoRare data information, but I will also lace across it my own valuation, because for some of these guys, if it is like a rookie card, like a Cherky for example, I'm not going to look at the SoRare data info on just Cherky rare period, because the year 1 Cherky is totally different to the year 2 Cherky, and there's a few other examples throughout the platform like that as well. Similar with my Vandevoort, I have that priced at like 5 ETH on this or something, just full disclosure, because that's like the minimum I would even think about selling them for in this current climate. And I think Hakimi, I've got Hakimi valued at about 4 Ether. He's not had a transact. No one's sold him secondary market since I bought mine. So gauging a current valuation on something that has very low transaction volume, maybe even like a Daiichi Kamada, something like that, can be quite difficult. And then the beauty does kind of come into the eye of the beholder. But again, like my Ki Sung Young, for example, I just remember doing that and how painful it was. There's only 2 super rares. I bought mine at 1.6 and somebody else bought one at 1.2 or whatever. So the average value on SoRare data is like 1.2. But when I look at when I looked at all the data, and I'm trying to be realistic, no one's going to buy my Ki Sung Young off me for 1 ETH, so I've kind of valued him in amongst other super rares of that kind of stature, proven CMs and blah blah blah, the rest of it. So I'm not shy of downgrading my valuations on certain players, because ultimately this is my spreadsheet. As much as I'm showing it to you guys and it's a good bit of content, it is my spreadsheet, so they are my valuations, and it's important for me to know my true valuation of my actual gallery. So you can see we're up to now like 100. We bought a Pedro Galese, so I did the spreadsheet the other day, and then I thought to myself, I've actually done really well. I'll show you the headline numbers in a minute. I can afford to go get another goalkeeper, so I went and got a Pedro Galese so I can compete in the Global Nations league as well, so I can go try and win some French issue cards or any other national teams that will follow here on in. So that's hopefully going to be a good purchase for me. So I've done that just kind of last minute. We've built up an amazing collection of like 30 odd super rares, 28, 26, something like that. And the gallery, guys, top to bottom, as you look at all the names, and we'll kind of look at it on SoRare, but there's no real dead weight in my gallery. Maybe the Sam Nicholsons, all 7 of them. There's a few guys like that. Maybe Nakamura you might judge as dead weight. I've got the last ever mint of Carlos Tevez, which could be worth something as well, depending on who you talk to and what you think. So I've managed to get some really great pieces into the gallery, and I said this on the last profit and loss video, but a lot of my early buys, and this is going to be a recurring theme on these videos, I feel, a lot of my early buys are they get better and better as time goes on, and I would urge you that you do think about your gallery in a bit more of a longer term. You do take a wider lens approach to some of these buys, because you can get too kind of ground down in the short term. Like I remember, and I tell you what, I will. There we go. So I remember in like the January to March period when all the booms and everything were going off, I made some really bad decisions selling some cards. I made some decisions that have in the long run proved to be fruitful, right? But see, when we go through periods of explosion and periods of massive growth in the platform, it is important to go into that knowing, if this happens, these are the 3 avenues I possibly want to go and exploit in the market, or these are the type of maneuvers I want to make. I was very fortunate in the fact that I had like a 12-month kind of diagram kind of laid out. So when I started on the platform, I only had, you know, a couple of ether, which at the time was like fuck all compared to now. And my goal, my agenda has always been to win better cards than I could possibly afford. And when we had that explosive growth before, the door really swung open for me to actually go and get cards that in another lifetime I would never have been able to buy, because the market was getting focused in other areas. Being focused on where the boom and where the growth is happening is very exciting if you're already involved in it. The problem is trying to jump onto that is quite capable of you're quite capable of burning yourself in that situation. So I would tread with caution when these boom periods do go on. The best time to sell is always when people are buying, you know. So in the first kind of wave of the boom, I managed to sell a lot of Challenger Euro cards. I managed to sell a lot of MLS cards that really funded me to go in and buy some of the bigger hitter cards that I picked up in that period. Equally, in this period now, I'm doing the opposite. I'm looking to actually acquire those types of cards because they're not as on trend and in fashion at the moment, or they're not as competitive in the auctions, you know. So it is always about, and it's not fun, right? But you really need to be patient in some respects. So you should have a couple of different chambers. If you think about your club as like a revolver, right? You've got 6 chambers in a revolver, right? You should always have a chamber that's ready to fire, and you should have another kind of procession of chambers around that, of guys that are going to be kicking in next month, guys that are going to be dropping out next month. And you should always have this kind of cycle moving round of different cards that are available to be played in SO5, are available to be sold in the market or bought in the market, different things. And that's a great way to kind of build yourself out, because if you're too reliant and too beholden on one region or one club or one player, whatever, you will be stifled in terms of how available to SO5 you can be. Because when your club is, let's say, sub 50 cards, and I've got some more videos that'll go through this in a bit more detail, but when you're sub 50 cards, you have to be as available to SO5 as you possibly can be. Because when you're sub 50 cards, one big win, let's see, bagging some of the wins I've pulled out, like a Wirtz or a Teze, guys like that, you know, if you're about 50 cards, winning a card like that changes the game for you. It really does open a door where you can maybe sell it to the secondary market and go and buy lots of smaller pieces to turn your 50 into 60 or 65 or whatever it might be. Or equally, that might complement 10 of the 50 you have already and actually elevate them into a really competitive like D4 situation. So that first bunch of 50 cards for me was an area that I hung around on in my club for quite a long time. And when I started picking up wins, it really, you know, I was on 50 cards and I went to 70 really quick, and I was able to capitalize on the cards I was keeping, and I was able to capitalize on selling cards into the market very easily, because I'd built that first 50 with that in mind of being competitive, you know, 10 to 12 months of the year, all year round kind of thing, if that makes sense. I know I kind of teased you by taking away the spreadsheet, so I'll go back to it now, guys, after I've given you a wee lecture on the wee kind of thing. So this is what we're sitting at, guys. Our ether, our gallery has cost us just under 29 ether, okay? Can I get this zoomed in? There we go, that's better. So our gallery has cost us 28.78 ethereum. That means, based on my net deposits and whatever, which I'll give you a quick glance through since we're nice and zoomed in now. As you can see, guys, these are all my financial deposits, right? You can see the dates that they're on. None of these amounts of money are absolutely massive. They're all little frequent deposits. Bearing in mind, when a lot of this initial kind of spate of deposits were, Ethereum was a lot cheaper. I accept that, okay? But nonetheless, I've never went out and spunked massive amounts of money into it. I've been very careful and very tactical on the secondary market and with trades, as well as when I'm acquiring guys and when I'm actually going out into the market. And yeah, since December, and then the last video we did was in March, you'll be able to see that there's not been any, you know, we went from February, we made a few deposits before the last video, and then we did basically in April a bunch of withdrawals. In May we did a big withdrawal, and then I've had some wee deposits over the last kind of 3 weeks or so, just getting some extra pieces, some extra super rares and that kind of thing into the gallery. So we're balanced out really, really nicely at the moment. So the gallery cost me 28 ether, let's say 29 ether, based on my net deposits, which as you can see over here is 1611.54. That means the average cost of my Ethereum is £55.98. Now you might be sitting there thinking, how the fuck is that possible? Let me explain it dead simply for you. If I win more cards that cost 0 but they're worth Ethereum, then on the spreadsheet that brings down my exposure to Ethereum, if that makes sense. Coupled with that, if I am trading in and out of something and I managed to get a higher ether value card for stuff that I didn't pay as much for when it wasn't ripe, you know, when it was out of season, when it was injured, whatever, then the trade will then subsequently hit the spreadsheet with a massive increase on the ETH valuation, if that makes sense. The current price of ETH when I did this, I don't actually know what it is at this exact moment in time, but it was 1813.50. My gallery valuation that I've put together, which is probably 95% SoRare data information, which is accurate, current auctions, current secondary market transactions within the last 2 weeks, is just under 52 ether, which means my gallery is valued at £93,500 sterling, with my net deposits being 1600. That is a P&L of 5,707%, which is £91,963. This is an abstract number. It means absolutely nothing until I withdraw it and put it in my pocket, but this is just me keeping tabs on exactly where my gallery is at. Now people, it is very easy to look at this and go, wow, I could do this in a year as well. Yes, you could. Have I had some extenuating factors go in my favour? Of course I have. I've been buying ether from July to August when it was less than £500 a coin, and you know, I managed to get in early and get some trades moving and whatever. Now, that all being said and all that being well and good, okay, I was never a big stockpiler of cards, you know, so when a lot of these booms happened, I never had a lot of fat to relieve myself of, to actually just go and realise some market profit without it affecting my gallery. Me selling high worth cards would have killed my gallery in January, February, and I'd still probably be recovering from it SO5 wise currently today. So you do have some decisions to make when it comes to when these boom periods come around, is who are the guys that I want to sell, who are the guys that will turn into profit that I can release from my club, and I can enjoy some of the profit, I can enjoy some of the growth, I can bank something, I can reinvest, or I can upgrade, whatever. And who are the guys that I would absolutely have to keep no matter what, because they are part of my longer term strategy, my longer term ambition in SO5 and on SoRare. These decisions have to be made in a sober and clear mind before these things happen, because if you don't and then these things happen, you will make rash decisions and you will regret it. Conversely to that, when things do slow down, like we've had over the last month or two, things kind of slow down. In some places, some prices have went backwards. Quite a fair amount of them have, depending on exactly what we're talking about, whether it be down to ether, whether it be down to supply or demand or whatever it is. But equally again, when prices crash down the way, and it'll happen to any player, they could break their leg, or the season finishes, they get suspended for 5, you know, anything could happen. When that happens, you need to already have it planned out, right? Well, this guy, if he was to drop in price, I would want rid, because I've only got him for these types of reasons. And when you have all these kind of guys identified, who is, and again, there's more content coming to help you identify these people potentially, but this guy's a market piece, or this guy's an asset to the club, then it makes making these decisions when the whirlwind of noise comes around, things are crashing, things are booming, whatever, because going into these things with a clear strategy and a clear frame of mind is the best way to come out the other side, is happy, because it's a game, guys, don't forget that. SoRare is a game, it's possible. And for me, if I wasn't happy playing this, I would have probably quit a long time ago, but it's been an absolute year of joy, and you can tell by the spreadsheet exactly how happy I am, probably, and when you look at the club as well, it's just there to be seen for all, really. Now, I can't say this in any other way, guys, but quite simply, I've made a few, and you know, your finances, please take this with a pinch of salt, okay? But there's been a few times where I've been at real crossroads in my gallery in terms of, do I make that buy? Do I try and really push myself into the podium places or into the top 20 or whatever it might be? And I've probably made, off the top of my head, like 4 signings when I was at rare level D4 kind of operations, where I was really like, do you know, should I be buying this guy? Should I, shouldn't I? And it was Oblak, Depay, Dorsch, and Yamain, and Tanaka. In fact, I'd put Tanaka in that category as well. All 5 of those guys were massive bite the bullet purchases, and those ones, every one of those ones paid off for me big time. The Dorsch and the Yamain I sold in the secondary market, and I didn't even actually make a profit on them Ethereum wise in the secondary market, but the time I sold them at, and guys, whenever I sell cards, I'm always selling cards when it's a good time to buy, and I'm never really that greedy with the prices I try and sell for. I am aware that someone needs to buy the card off me, so it needs to be at a price where I would find it appealing, I would find it attractive. I don't, you know, list everything and anything for stupid prices hoping that someone misclicks or fat fingers it or whatever. So I would, you know, when you're valuing your cards and when you are walking into the secondary market trying to move something on, you really do need to have that dose of reality, that dose of realism into your pricing, and understand that you are selling it to another person. They need to have, if they don't have the money for your valuation, then it's not going to sell, you know. And it depends on the situation you're selling. Is it because the price is sky high? Well, if it's sky high, not all people have got sky high money. Is it because you're just done with the guy, you want something different, you know? So that dose of reality, that dose of realism, you're not going to be able to sell everything for an ether after you've bought it for 0.002 or whatever. But those bite the bullet purchases, if it's a proper SO5 performer, then I am yet to regret a purchase like that. Okay, so if you're in the position and you're really thinking, should I buy like these 3 or 4 cannon fodder, average 40, average 50 guys, or should I go buy Oblak? Go buy Oblak, or go buy Dorsch, or, you know, these types of guys that you know. Because when you're in that position to really upgrade, and I use that word a lot and I really do it deliberately, upgrade your lineup, upgrade your club, you should take those opportunities when they come. Yeah, do you know what? Sometimes the opportunity comes when the guy doesn't have another match for 3 months and you might need to sit on it. But if when that 3 months elapses, the season comes back, or the suspension or the injury or whatever it is, as long as you've made informed decision in terms of your scouting and the background knowledge you've gathered before walking into the purchase, then I am yet to have an experience where that backfires for me. So as I say, that's not, doesn't mean it's gospel. It could easily backfire. Somebody could go and break their leg the first game of the season or whatever. But in my experience, those bite the bullet purchases, if you're thinking about it and it occupies enough of your mind, it's probably the best decision versus buying a bunch of cannon fodder, to be quite honest with you. Now, the next thing I would come to is, in my club, I always buy people I like. Okay, now some of these guys I've seen play a lot, some of them I've seen them play hardly any, some of them I've never seen play. To be quite honest with you, but every decision, there's a lot of background and foreground that goes into it in terms of not just their statistics potentially, but their market sentiment. Do other people like them? Do people have a high opinion of this guy? Is he going to go to the top or anything like that? And your gallery and your club, once you've put it together and once you've amassed these sorts of cards, you really should be proud of it, guys. You know, it's a tough thing, right? Sometimes I feel borderline arrogant, right? But I'll get messages from people, or I'll be in spaces on Twitter or live streams or chats, and people will say stuff to me like, "Oh, your gallery is amazing," and I'm like, "I know," you know, because what else can I bought the cards, I know they're fucking good, you know, and you know, I love that other people appreciate seeing my opinion of football and my preferences in football displayed on SoRare, and people appreciate it and think this guy, you know, has an eye for a player. I love that. That gratitude, that self-gratification is a big thing that I feed off of. And if it's something that you've not yet experienced, it's something you should be mindful of, right? Well, when I talk to my pals or I'm in this group chat or whatever, nobody really says, "Oh, look at your gallery, it looks amazing." Why is that? Well, I don't really have any star pieces. I could have bought this big star guy, midfielder, Felix, or this guy or that guy or whatever, but I ended up buying these 10 other random guys, and 2 of them are injured now. One of them's moved to Saudi Arabia, and this, that, and the other thing, you know. Because sometimes the most economic, especially in a SoRare situation, the most economic transfers are guys that play and guys that will deliver for you on the pitch, you know. And as I look through, I love this squads feature, by the way. It's a lovely way of kind of getting a nice overview of the club, of the gallery, everything. And as I look at it, guys, it does just I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I love them all. I love all these football players, especially all the ones that are on the cover page, if you like, of the squad, of the little album. These are all guys that I'm big fans of, and they're all cards that I'm really proud to own, and I'm really happy they're in my collection, that are in my gallery, you know. And again, if you don't feel that way about your club, go get a couple of those pieces, because honestly, like, enjoyment is a massive factor in what I think is my success when it comes to SO5. Now, make no mistake about it, guys, I do well in the secondary market, right? I do like to get deals, I like to make deals, I like to buy off auctions kind of at 2 o'clock in the morning, or things that are off the radar, that kind of thing. But SO5 success is the backbone of your club's growth. It is without doubt probably the most underutilized part. Now, I do understand and accept that the reward structure and reward pool recently has not been too conducive to the headcount that we currently have. I accept that. Going forward, that should and will be changing. But SO5 performance is the first thing you've got to absolutely nail. I see a lot of accounts come in, and if, you know, some will nail it and some won't, or whatever, but when you come in and your primary focus is market activity, buy low and sell high, you want to do that within a week or within a month or whatever, you're setting yourself up for failure. You will fail in some instances when you do that. Whereas when your whole agenda circulates around doing well in SO5, winning tournaments, pulling cards, then these other things happen as a byproduct anyway. You will have cards you can put into the market, you will have cards that are coming into form and doing well. And when your focus is on, you know, it's one of these things, like I spoke about it in a video or a stream or something recently, right? I was kind of sharing kind of lessons I've learned in business and whatever, right? I'll give you another one. But when I started in sales, like there was this thing one of the people in the office used to talk about quite a lot, and it was called SMUGs, Small Unseen Goals. It's from a book, I'm told, right? You might know this already, but the point is like, if you focus, and some of you might be involved in sales in your job or whatever, or in the past, you'll understand this, but if you focus on sales in the market, I suppose the secondary market is the same. If you're focusing on selling and nothing but selling, then it's not going to happen as easily or as quickly, you know. Whereas, or if you're focusing on making money, then it's not going to happen. When you focus on all the little things that make your goal a byproduct of those little things happening, then it becomes easier to laser focus into them and make them happen. So for example, for me, I'm always focusing in on how I can win tournaments for the next month, for the next 3 months, and just by focusing in on that, what I'll do is I'll acquire players that are going to be coming into good form. I'll be acquiring players that I can afford, that I see as undervalued, and then I will be going into SO5 and I will be doing well, hopefully. If I can pull cards out that I can churn to the market, cool. I might win cards I want to keep, even better. And then those cards, if I had a time period on them where I thought, you know what, this guy will be good for the next 3 months, I'll buy him and use him for 6 weeks and then sell him into the market while he's still viable for someone else to be picking up. Then that's the sort of angle I'll always take, rather than who can I buy today that I can sell in 3 months from now, because that doesn't always pan out and you can end up with egg in your face. And if beyond that 3 month period you don't actually have much of a use or an interest for them, it will become a frustrating situation you find yourself in that you will want to avoid at all costs. Trust me, frustration is the start of that slippery slope down to failure. Now, as you can see from these stats, I've been very active in secondary market and primary auction bidding, but like I mentioned in the video earlier, like I didn't have an abundance of cards, so this is actually a really interesting graph to look at. I've never had an abundance of cards to shed off into the market for profit, and if you remember earlier on in the video, you'll see like I didn't make any real deposits like after December really, and you can see I went from 148 cards down to 127, so I shed off what little I could. 20 cards in the grand scheme of things isn't that much to then fund me, and as you can see there's been a gradual progression to get the gallery back up to the head count of where it's at the now, which is 153, which is just shy of the all-time high of 155. Now in that time what I've managed to do is negotiate the market, you know, trade, sell, hustle, get some more super rares in, get some guys in that, you know, like a Van Dijk, somebody who's carrying a big injury that I'm waiting for next season to come around for, or, you know, I've got a few other examples knocking about the club I'm not going to bore you with. But when you don't have that much fat to trim off for these booms, your moves have to be a bit more calculated, they have to be a bit more considered, and you have to be a bit more patient. And as you can see, I've had a steady stream of activity of buys and sells, you know, as opportunities permitted. And, you know, that kind of passageway of cards is something that you won't see too often. Too much is the talk of I sold a whole gallery, or I'm going to go buy a whole gallery, or whatever. You should have a steady, if you're trying to build and you're trying to be frugal, you should have a steady stream of, you know, cards coming in and out. You know, you've maybe got 5 that I'll use. You know, when I'm in DMs with guys, I use the term ripe quite a lot. I'll always sell a card that's ripe if he's been earmarked to be sold, because that's the best time to buy him, when he's got fixtures on the horizon, when he's in good form, when the transfer has just been linked. I need to have a viable reason for somebody to buy the card off me for me to sell it. I'm not just going to list something for no reason. You know, if someone's not got a game for 3 months, I'm not actually even interested in selling them, even though I can't use them for 3 months, even if I want to sell them, because I know, unless something time sensitive happens where I change my mind, I know that the best thing for me in the club is to wait until the games return, until that card can ripen for me, you know. Now, SoRare Data is an absolutely fantastic website, and I'll say this at this point: if you do not support if you're not on the website, number one, what are you waiting for? Go and get it. They have access to every shred of information you could possibly wish to, and much more. Look out for an updated how to use SoRare Data video. But it's got the roster prices, the live auction prices of everything that's valued at in your club and in your market. I'm just scrolling all the way to the bottom here, sorry. At the very bottom of every web page there is a yellow donate button. It's a PayPal, or you can do ETH, or you can do cards. You can donate absolutely anything you want. Don't get a pizza this weekend. Support that website. It is an absolute godsend. And if you're not using it, when you see the amount of data and information available free of charge at the touch of a button, it will revolutionise how you make decisions in SoRare, and it will help you step into the market. So please do support Max and the guys over there for the fantastic work that they continue to put into that website. It absolutely is a godsend to the entire community, and I'm not overselling that at all. Now guys, if I was starting today, the first thing I would be doing, number one, is getting that free spreadsheet that's on the channel. Again, the link is here, you'll have found it by now, I'm sure. The second thing I'd be doing is I'd be combing through SoRare.com, and I'd be making favourites of every player I like and every player I already know before looking into SoRare Data and before looking into SO5 stats, because those are the players you will gravitate towards and you will have more enjoyment from, and you've probably got a better eye for picking guys you're maybe a bit more familiar with, you've had some experience, or you've seen a blog or a write-up or a YouTube video about, or whatever, first and foremost. And I would be absolutely patient, because when we come on, because you've got that little progress bar before you get your free card, when you hit that link in the description down below, people have a real propensity to go out and get the 5 cheapest rares they can as quick as possible to get that free rare into their club, which I understand and accept, okay, but you are going to get that free card as long as you buy your 5 from the auction within 90 days of opening your account, as long as you've hit that link down below. And you've got 90 days, guys. There is no real rush. You'll have 8 weeks in the Rookie League where you can use all your common cards, and I would honestly, because the best thing for you to do is to buy guys you like at prices you can afford as quickly as possible. Now that might take you a month to get 3 or 4 cards you really like, but it is the best way to go about it. It really is. We all as human beings have a nature and an urge to get stuck in, to be knee deep and to be doing everything yesterday. But with this, because the first couple of cards you buy are really big purchases, you know, they're going to set your club up, they're going to get you into SO5, they're going to be getting you churning ETH or whatever, then I would make, you know, I would lay out, this is how much I'm going to be putting into SoRare to get me started. £100, £200, £500, whatever it is, okay? Everyone's budget is completely different and everyone's risk tolerance is totally different. So whatever's right for you, and then work backwards from there. There will be some guys, you'll get into any budget, you know. I was looking at auctions earlier today and I've put together cards for a competition I'm doing a giveaway for. If you're interested in the giveaway, then there'll be a link in the description down below for the video that'll explain all the details for that, okay? But there's a lot of guys that are really fun cards, really good football players that don't cost that much in the grand scheme of things, if you're prepared to wait for the right auction or a desperate seller to come onto the market, or if you can dive into Discord and these different types of places and pull off some other negotiations. So number one, get your favourites made up before you look at any SO5 data. Number two, make a priority list of players you know already that you would like to have and, you know, have their card and play them in SO5, that kind of thing. And number three is make connections. Some of the best decisions I've made are as a result of talking to other managers in the community. You might know people in the community already, maybe a friend's referred you or whatever, that's great. But there's no harm in always just bouncing an idea off another account that you get on with on Twitter. You notice you're interacting in the same threads or whatever it might be, because sometimes a fresh pair of eyes will help sober you up to, do you know what, that is actually a wee bit too expensive for that guy, I can maybe get him cheaper if I wait till tomorrow, or do you know what, that's a great price, I should maybe sell that guy now and go buy this other guy who's kind of similar but actually cheaper. that kind of thing. So connections that you make are very important, not just for the networking aspect of it, but as I say, sometimes that sober second opinion just to keep you on the straight and narrow of making the best decisions that you possibly can for your club. As number 4, as often as possible, you want to be liquid. You want to have ether in your wallet. When the market goes through any type of period, boom and crash, or stall, kind of in the middle, people with ether in their wallets are most often the ones in control of the market, in terms of what price they're willing to pay to get something. And if you do spend all your ether dead quickly, maybe you set a budget out, this is all I'm going to put in, and you spend it in 3 days, then an opportunity will come around that you'll be kicking yourself you can't capitalise on. So at all stages, try and keep some sort of amount of ether liquid in your wallet for that opportunity. I can't believe that's came up. I never thought in a million years this would happen, or that guy would go so cheap, or whatever it might be. And number 5 would be try and be dual regional. So a lot of people will come in and go, I only know MLS, I'm just going to play that, or I only know European football, so I'm just going to play that. Do your best to pick up a second region that you're not as familiar with and start to build a second kind of arm of your gallery or your club from the SO5 stats, from real world stats, from opinions, from blogs you can find and videos, that kind of thing, and try and get a duality to the regions that you cover, because it will just mean you can compete in SO5 to a sufficient level for much longer of the calendar year. If you're relying on one calendar, football calendar, MLS or Europe or whatever, then you will have periods where you don't have as many cards playing or no cards at all, and then you'll be forced into rush decisions because you probably will want to participate even when the cards you have are out of season. And you don't want to be doing, you always want to be a step ahead. You want to be buying those things, you want to be having them in the locker so that they're ripe and ready to go when the time is right. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. About to pop on screen now some other stuff I've made. I hope you enjoy that as well. Please do get involved in the competition. You could win yourself a free card as well. If you want the details for that, they're in the description down below. That will take you to a little video that'll explain all the T's and C's and how you can get involved. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. I cannot wait to do this in a year's time again and see how far we've come. And stay out of trouble. And yeah, see you on the next one.
It's a time.